I'm going to call the Thursday meeting of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council to order. It's noon. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call?
James Schlender,
Present.
Lorraine Gouget, Mark Helwig, Gary Hilgendorf,
Present.
Tom Haw,
Here.
Jeff Johnson,
Here.
Kathy McCoy, Doug Rotek,
Here.
Bruce Paquette,
Here.
Katie Colby,
I'm
Jeff,
here. I'm here. I'm on Zoom.
Jeff Schley.
I'm the new Jeff Schley.
Oh, you're the new Jeff Schley.
I am.
Tweet Schuman, John Yackel,
Present.
Elaine Smith. 8 now.
All right. Moving on to number 3, certification of compliance with open meeting laws.
The meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Moving on, number 4, meeting agenda. Has the committee members looked at the agenda and if there's any modifications based on the posting? Hearing none. Moving on to number 5. Is there anybody here who's not on the agenda or not on the committee that wishes to address the committee at this time? Hearing no comments. Moving on to number 6. Number 6, we have presented a draft of the minutes from the September meeting. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So move.
A motion from Mr. Hoff, second from Lieutenant Johnson. Any discussions on the motion that's on the floor? Hearing no discussions, call for a vote. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on, number 7, Criminal Justice Coordinator update. Saber,
So,
what is your last
Nikki was-
name?
Fisher.
Fisher.
What did you say it was?
Egbert.
Well, that's my maiden
I
name.
know, that's why I was kind of.
So it's not wrong.
I've been that way for 16 years, but
So you got married in preschool. All right.
I like you. Nikki wasn't able to make it today, so she would be the one who would talk about like the grant and how it was submitted and everything, but the TAD grant has been submitted. Right now we are at 79 on pretrial supervision. We have a waiting list of about 140 people. We have 1 that has officially started diversion, and the DA will be getting us roughly about almost 50 names of people that we can do assessments on. And if they fit, then they'll be put into diversion. As of this afternoon, we will have 8 on electronic monitor. Those are Hubers for the jail. And we don't have anybody on alcohol monitor right now.
Any questions for Ms. Fisher?
Yes.
I was contacted by that Michael from the AB Kiosk asking if the overflow, if that's something you'd want to entertain or we would want to entertain. I don't know if that would even go through you guys at that point, if that would just be referral back to us, or I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, I guess I don't know, because we actually we have to have people meet in the office too. So I just don't know, because I know with the alcohol monitoring maybe, but most of the people we have right now in pretrial supervision, it's all drugs.
Yeah.
So we'd be drug testing them in the office.
He just asked that I bring it up, and if anybody in here finds a need for it, yes, sir.
Is that kiosk there operating for people who, if I ordered them to test on a daily basis to go to that kiosk, could that be set up? Or is
For
that,
alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
It can, Mike, and that Michael said he'd come back and train as many people as he needs to.
but I mean, is that available now, or do we have to?
Well, we'd have to get the training and the logging information and
Okay.
software loaded, but I would imagine within 2 weeks.
Because there have been probably several in the last month that instead of sending them necessarily to Justice Point, I mean, we could still do that, but to have that condition of them to daily go up there to use the kiosk, that would have.
Until Justice Point has availability or something.
Yeah,
like that.
or whatever. I mean, but I mean, just to have that accountability. Some of them would have made it. It's nice to know if we can get it in place. If you could let me know if we're going to get it so that I could do that. It'd be nice to know at some point. Maybe the ones I'm thinking of wouldn't be appropriate because they were high cash bonds anyway, because they were like 5th or 6th offense OWIs. But if I know there are several people that have in the past posted those bonds, and that would be good to have it as a condition bond to have to go daily.
Yep.
To the kiosk.
Yeah, I think the other thought behind it too is they're showing up to a law enforcement agency to the building, so they hopefully wouldn't be high if that was the case, but But yeah, I can get the ball rolling on that.
Okay.
Just, it's another tool that we have,
Absolutely.
so.
Any other questions for Ms. Fisher? Mr. Hoff,
You mentioned the deferrals.
diversions,
Or pardon me?
diversions?
Yeah, diversions. So is that process working smoother, or are you working together and getting things organized?
Yep, so we just have to wait on like the final list of names. I believe, Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're sending out letters to each individual that may be eligible for diversion to contact us within 30 days to set up their assessment.
Right, I guess how I see it happening right now, and I've talked to Justice Point, I've talked to the judge and law enforcement about going through a list of people. Well, all I really did was I took everybody that's charged with possession of meth or possession of heroin, and I looked to see if they had a firearms charge or delivery charge, or if they have 400 convictions. You know, so if they have a lot of convictions, they have possession of a firearm during one of their crimes or delivery, they were X'd out. And this isn't real scientific, you know, I'm sure we might have missed one or two, but we had a big group of names and then we kind of circulated it and went, okay, these are folks that should qualify. And so I'm drafting an agreement and a letter saying, look, go to Justice Point with this letter if you wish. I'm sending it to the defense counsel so that they can talk to the client about it. So they're going to go to Justice Point if they wish. If they pass the screening test by Justice Point's going to come up with what they want them to do as diversion. And if they're successful, they will avoid the felony conviction for sure. And then they most likely will end up with either a fine or nothing if they're successful.
Can I interrupt? Sorry, Don.
No,
If you want
but-
to keep going.
Go
But
ahead.
you skipped over a part there that, yeah, obviously, so he goes,
There's basically 4 steps.
yeah,
They
DA,
get
then
an
Justice
offer,
Point, if they
Justice
qualify,
Point,
then they come to court to plead.
right.
We
And
do a
then,
deferred
yeah.
judgment of conviction agreement, and then they're monitored through Justice Point. If they violate, they come back, the conviction's entered, and then they have to deal with the felony conviction. If they're successful, they come back, and then whatever the agreement is that Bruce has with them, whether it's either a dismissal or a reduction or a fine or whatever, right?
That's right. And
Okay.
talking with Justice Point, you know, I asked them what they thought the appropriate term was, and they suggested 6 months. So hopefully we'll have some type of result 7, 8 months from now.
Any other questions for Ms. Fisher? Mr. Hoff, can you provide a little bit of insight as to the grant submission?
No, I cannot.
So
It has
It's a
been
long
submitted.
it has been submitted, and just for the record of this committee, it has been submitted. There were some modifications made to the actual application, and it went from what was going to be a diversion court to what was essentially going to be a planning grant, so that next year that would be we'd be better situated to be competitive for the TAD funding. Treatment alternative diversion. Do you feel that you have any information that you need to share with the full board?
None at this time.
So I would ask that the full board agenda, that the CJCC be struck, because that's a subcommittee of public safety. And the chair of public, the county chair is bringing CJCC in, and I don't know what they need to report. If it's an ad hoc committee, I could report as the chair of the ad hoc. So unless you want to come on Thursday nights, it's a fun time.
Oh, we have gone to a couple of them.
I mean, it's
But if
not
you wanna
forced dating
speak
like
to
you've been
it.
doing with your students, but or your clients. All right, any other questions regarding the TAD grant submission or anything else with Justice Point? Moving on to number 8, budget status. Mr. Hoff, I'm going to turn this over to you, but one thing I want to say clearly is that as you're looking at these documents, just this committee is an ad hoc committee as a subset of public safety. And so the committees are going through their budget processes. This committee doesn't have input on what the budget request is. And so this is information only. I don't know if it's necessarily confidential, but it's definitely information only. as to the expenditures that are being done on behalf of the county, and into a certain extent, allocations or funding that's been dispersed on behalf of the tribe. And so some of the contract numbers are in there, funding contracts and whatnot. This is the number that's being proposed is going to be a point of discussion when the budget meets fully, in that Justice Point was contracted to provide services, and I think it was at 50, and you're over capacity and been sending over capacity memos. And so part of what public safety is going to be looking at is what we can do to increase that capacity, and that we know that any increase or any changes is going to require additional funds. And so that's on the table for discussion, because it was raised at public safety, it was raised at admin. So that's the little bit of insight that I have. And as a county board representative and chair of this committee, those are the positions that I'll be taking going forward with budget discussions. So with that, if you have any questions about that, hold off on that until after Mr. Hoff has a chance to discuss what's what. Mr. Hoff?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you did a good job summarizing. This is information that we put on every committee's agenda, just to be informative, not only to this committee and this public safety, but also the public. So that we do anticipate and have a contract with Justice Point for 2022. It'll be the same dollar amount as last year, but they rearranged some of their staffing priorities to accommodate kind of the direction that we're going now. It also recognizes the $50,000 contribution from the tribe, and so there's a $173,000 tax levy that picks up the rest of the expenses for the work of this process we're going through.
Any questions? Just to be clear, what I'm going to be asking for is a reallocation of money that's already been budgeted, that it be earmarked for potential consideration for this program, specifically for Justice Point. There's no guarantees. I would say that it's probably 1 in 10 chance of success, but that is the position that I'll be advocating when the county board meets. Any questions on the budgeting process? Any questions regarding the budget? Okay, moving on. Number 9, community services update. Greater Hayward Area House of Hope. So North, you have the floor.
Well, we actually got, we're full. We have 4 in there, and we have one that has come through that is already on the outside doing well, and we continue to keep contact with him. And then we actually, the Element had a house across from the post office there, and they have gotten into their new building, and so that has been made available. And so we're going to be moving into that as a 3rd phase of the program. And one of the other guys that's graduating, since there are no places to stay, is going to be going into there along with our executive director. So we're really making some very good progress, and it is good stuff. So we're seeing good things. And the ladies' house has 5 in there, and a 6th one going to be coming in. And so, and they are doing very well. So we've got some positives and all the negatives. So anyway, so that's the update.
Any questions for Mr. Hilgendorf? Moving on to number B and essentially number C. Because of the fact that our schedules have been so difficult for this month, it's hard for them to adjust as we move things, because this got rescheduled twice. So there's no report from the Calcio Women's Shelter or Men's Shelter. They will be present and participating in future meetings. And so I just want to make sure that's out there. That's not a reflection of them. It was a reflection of our scheduling and their ability to be out here. And so we are going to try our best to be more respectful of people's schedules, so we don't bounce us around so much. Moving on to number 10, future agenda items. Is there anything that the committee would like to have added to the agenda going forward? Any issues that you feel that need to be discussed? Hearing none, moving on to number 11, correspondence reports from conferences, meetings, and other matters for discussion only. Is there anything that the committee would like to discuss that would be for discussion only? Got 2 things. First one is, Ms. Fisher, can you, for this committee, and then either for this committee or for public safety, can you send me a monthly report of how many people you have under supervision that are providing services, and especially if we start getting people in diversion. Similar to what we get from the sheriff's department in terms of people that are operating under that area. That helps me with the committee being aware, and it'll also help me with the arguments about the services that we're providing. Because what's lost in the services that you're doing is that you're actually helping about 60 or 70 people get services that would not normally have their pre-sentence. They would be actually in jail. And then we would be putting people in other jails because our population would be such that it would be over capacity. So there's a relief that's there that I think needs to be shared a bit more. The second thing is,
Would you provide me that?
Yep.
You're providing it to him, would you provide it to me as well?
Yes.
and then the second thing that I would ask that Justice Point start considering is one of the criticisms that came when we were putting this in place is understanding the programming that would be made available to the diversion people who are going to diversion programming. We have a college that's available, in this area. And if there could be an attempt to try to work on either GED programming or other type of making that one of the options available for someone who's under a diversion program, that they have access to classes and education. Because I think that, and I'm not going to get on a soapbox, but one of the things that we can address with the concerns that we have with, meth, drugs, alcohol, domestic violence is education, making education available as a tool to kind of work against that. And then I know that there are other technical colleges that are available. Maybe Justice Point could reach out to them as well. But if you could help me provide some information as some of the programming that Justice Point needs either help facilitating or would contemplate helping with diversion, that would be helpful. And I think that would be helpful for the parties that are involved, so that they have a full view of what is going to be made available for these people as they get this chance.
I have a question. What can you ask about? Just Justice Point about a parenting courses?
No, so we wouldn't provide those classes. We would try to find resources. Yeah. The one person we're working with on diversion right now does have a CHIPS order, but she just has to follow through with the parenting classes that CPS put in place. So we'll be checking in with them to make sure she's following that.
That's something that I see a lot of folks that want to have access to parenting classes, and it's really needed.
Who do I have on Zoom?
And Patrick Roberts.
Ms. Colby, do you have anything you wish to address with the committee?
No, I just wanted to, I guess, introduce myself. I know that I'm not able to see all of you very well and know exactly all of your roles, but I'm Katie Colby. I'm the new Corrections Field Supervisor for the Department of Corrections for the probation agents in Sawyer. Jeff Schley has transferred to Price County, and I came from Ashland. So I look forward to working with all of you. I was a supervisor in Ashland, Bayfield, and Iron, and I am happy to be in Sawyer because it gets me a lot closer to home. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I don't have anything for the department at this point. I'm sure I will, but I'm just still learning the county and all of my agents and services. So thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, can you identify yourself for the purposes of the committee?
Hi, yes. Patrick Roberts. I'm a deputy administrator with Justice Point. I work with Nikki and Melissa. I just wanted to say, as far as the TAD application goes, someone mentioned it earlier, but we did submit it as a planning application, and we told the state that we didn't have an active diversion program in Sawyer. So I guess we just need to be a little careful on how we identify our diversion program as we go through that process, as maybe we need to refer to it as a pilot that we put together after we submitted our application.
And what would be the rationale for that?
Because we told the state we didn't have a diversion program. So if they come in and we do have a diversion program, then we could miss out on potential funds, because they're not going to give us money to run a program we already have.
Okay.
I don't know if it helps or not, Patrick. in every offer letter that I'm sending to defense counsel, you must have read my mind because at the last sentence, I'm suggesting that this diversion is simply a pilot program. And so I don't know if that helps you at all because.
Nope, sounds good.
So, yeah. So I would just, this is our first swing at trying to install some type of diversion program. And yes, I did call it diversion, but I also used the word pilot, just like you said.
And then I just wanted to mention, a lot of the work we're going to do with diversion clients is going to be on cognitive behavioral intervention. Like, so the case managers have a lot of worksheets on problem solving and social skills and just different skill sets like to train clients on. And then they're going to refer out for those other services that clients need. But we're really going to be focused with diversion, especially moderate risk diversion, on changing their attitudes and beliefs and helping them with their antisocial cognition and personality and temperament and those kind of things. So I just, when Melissa's working on pointing out what we're focusing on with the diversion program, that's what Justice Point will be doing. And then we'll be referring out for those other things.
We're definitely going to work on the language because if we offer diversion as that, we're going to sound like we're going back to 1984. So,
yeah.
All right, any other questions or any comments for the committee? Anybody else have any matters that they wish to discuss? All right, date of next meeting, I don't have it on here, but November is going to be tough for the county board because we have some statutory requirements. We got a redistricting issue, we got a budget issue. So I don't know if if I'm going to be able to participate on a normal schedule. So we're probably going to push this out to December. So first part of December, because I know the holidays will be coming in there. So we can either decide that now, or Ms. Fitch can have the abundance of joy of trying to schedule everybody later on after November plays through. So I'll leave that up to the committee.
Wednesday, December 1st at noon.
Wednesday, December 1st. All right, we'll set that up and we'll go with that. So Wednesday, December 1st at noon, same bat time, same bat channel. With that, this committee is adjourned. Thank you everyone for participating.
It is